Bushfires and floods, turbocharged by climate change, are now combining with mining, pollution and invasive species, leaving Australia's environment in a state of crisis.
In previous reports, we've been largely talking about the impacts of climate in the future tense. In this report, there's a stark contrast because we are now documenting widespread impacts of climate change.
The authors of the latest State of Environment report divided Australia's environment into 9 subject areas and gave each a grade. 5 were rated as being in poor condition and getting worse. Of the 4 noted to be in good condition, 3 were deteriorating. Many of the problems are long-standing and neglected.
Land clearing hasn't declined significantly. Invasive species are still a major issue, and we are seeing more species and ecosystems being listed as threatened.
There are now more non-native plant species in Australia than native ones. The Murray-Darling Basin Plan promised 450 gigalitres of water for the environment, but so far has only delivered 2. And Australia has lost more mammal species than any other continent. The new government is promising change.
This will require a fundamental reform of our national environmental laws and empowering a new environmental protection agency to enforce them.
The Environment Minister said she wanted to change things quickly and pledged environmental legislation next year.
After a lost decade, after a decade of going backwards, we can't waste another minute.
The Minister recognised that Australians want their government to protect our environment, but the government does have to do it properly.
Tanya Plibersek's first major speech in the environment portfolio was passionate and frank. She set new conservation targets and timelines around the hard task of reforming Australia's failing national environment laws. But when pressed, she was reluctant to take responsibility for the emissions created when Australian coal and gas is burnt overseas.
We are responsible for our domestic emissions, and that's why we are focused on bringing down our domestic emissions.
It doesn't matter whereabouts in the world Australia's coal and gas is burnt. Burning coal and gas will warm our climate, and that warmer climate will damage the Great Barrier Reef. The wildlife that the Minister told us today is in trouble.
And the Minister reiterated the government won't budge on its 2030 emissions target. Michael Slezak, ABC News.